Hickman is here with me right now. Good afternoon, Paul. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Now, can you tell us a little about your business?
Urban Ashes is a manufacturer of picture frames and home furnishings or furnishings in general. And we do that all with urban salvage wood, street trees, yard trees, storm damaged trees, and wood coming out of houses and buildings being deconstructed in the Detroit metro area. We do that all focusing on working with ex-felons. So the way I like to put it simply, there's two ways. We're in the business of making transformations, transforming the wood from waste into finely crafted products, transforming often discarded people into highly productive people. So somebody coined us that we're saving trees and saving lives. So I guess that's what we do.
I think so. You know, I'm a teacher. We were in the salvation business. I taught for a long time. So what do you think of the symposium so far?
Well, I will first have to admit that I didn't get here until right about lunchtime, so I missed the front part. I had a business to run this morning. So from what I've seen, I did get to sit through the lunch conference, which was wonderful, with all the different members of the three universities. That was some good information. Our panel came right after that, and I have to say at least two of the panel members that I was with, I guarantee we'll be having some long-standing conversations afterwards and hopefully some business relationships. So what do I think about it so far? I'd say so far pretty good.
Well, great idea. Now, tell me this. If I gave you a magic wand and told you, take this wand and I want you to fix one thing about Detroit, what would it be?
Whew, man.
Just one thing.
The one thing I would say, and it's the obvious thing to me anyways, it's because we're so focused on it, is that unfortunately there is such a large volume of people coming out of Detroit that are previously incarcerated, giving them a legitimate chance and giving them all the support systems. That would be one thing I'd like to see.
Absolutely, because, I mean, when people don't have a chance, they resort to other measures.
They resort to survival.
Right.
And when they don't have the support systems provided by, whether it's last resort, in my opinion, is the government, but provided by businesses and provided by other organizations and individuals, when they're not provided that, they're going to resort back to, unfortunately, survival and whatever they need to do to survive.
Absolutely. How long have you had the business?
The business has had me for about 6.5 years.
How did you come up with the idea?
The idea came out of, I helped start an organization in 2005 called the Urban Wood Project, which is, this is the peak of the Emerald Ash Borer that started here in southeast Michigan and Canton specifically, but came through the Detroit ports. And we were looking for a way to utilize all the ash trees that were being destroyed by mulch. Well, the emerald ash borer was killing them, but then...
Well, is your educational background in this?
My educational background's in fine art.
Oh, okay.
But it taught me how to make things. So I've been making things for 35 years. But I was a furniture designer, interior designer, architectural detailing for a long time. I was one of the original members on the board or on the committees developing the finished materials for LEED certification back in the late 90s. This is in California, though, before I moved back to the Midwest. Mm-hmm. So I've been involved in wood, in particular, urban salvage wood or sustainable wood, since about the mid-90s. And that's how I got into the Urban Wood Project thing. And then 3 years after the Urban Wood Project started, we were selling the lumber, and the sales were doubling or more every year. Myself and one of the other guys got back together and said, let's come up with a product now that we can scale nationally or internationally. And he's the one who threw out there and said, okay, and it needs to be a product not just made with urban salvage wood, but a product manufactured with transitional and disabled labor. And I looked down and I said, okay, disabled labor, I can guess what that is. Transitional, what the hell is that? To me it sounded like day labor. And then I found very quickly our crew now, and what we're talking about is ex-felons.
Okay.
So those who have not been through the process like to sugarcoat it or PC it and call it transitional, returning citizens, whatever. My crew and most of the people that I've worked with that have come from that environment or that world own up to it right away.
Right.
They don't sugarcoat it. They
Right.
say, we're ex-felons. This is
Right.
what we are.
Right.
Let's call it what it is.
So, how's it going?
It's going very well. We spent the first 3 years developing the product in Washtenaw County and figuring out the labor force and the supply chain. Definitely not your traditional supply chains for either case. And then February of 2012, we decided to go outside of Washtenaw County. We had 4 retail shops we were working with. Now, what are we in October of 2015? We are in about 220 locations in 42 states, and we have a multitude of national accounts with some big manufacturers that we're manufacturing specifically for, and we're now getting into the contract world where we're designing and manufacturing for restaurants and retail market.
Wow, you've taken my next question out of my, because I was going to ask you if you had an idea for a business that would improve some aspect of urban life, and I think you've just told me that, But
Well, it's a business that one of the questions that came up during our panel I thought was a great question because it was something that was critical to us. That unfortunately a lot of even great entrepreneurial businesses are very small scale, and they have a lot of impact, especially because you connect these all together. They make a huge impact. But our idea from the beginning was to develop a model that we could scale nationally, that could be reproduced in different regions. The issue with the urban salvage trees, the wasted, Michigan alone has about 75 million board feet of urban salvage trees that are destroyed every year. This doesn't count the deconstructed. Detroit alone has, depending on who you talk to, 70,000 houses slated for demolition or deconstruction, not counting commercial. So there's this massive amount of wood that is not being utilized. It's all either heading into mulch, burn, or
fireplaces.
or the landfill, even worse. And so the idea is that that's not unique to Detroit. Detroit may be the poster child for it, but it exists in any older urban environment. Not even necessarily urban, rural, older rural environments, smaller towns, have similar issues. And the labor force issue, that exists, unfortunately, all over specifically in the United States, massive amounts of people returning from the prison population. So it's, what I like about it is that business is scalable and it impacts it hits multiple things. It hits the wasted resource and the wasted human lives.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to thank you for
thank
joining
you.
us, and I think
Thank
I'm
you
going
for
to
having
be
me.
talking to one of your employees.
Yeah, speaking of poster child, that's why I said I went first. He's got to go. I make him go after me. So he is definitely the sort of the face of the employment aspect of what we do.
Well,
So,
thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for the community, too.
well, thank you very much.